And good morning. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic. Mr. Walter Pierce flew up out of here this morning, okay, because he had important things to do. However, Deontay Savage from My Brother's Keeper has promised to fulfill our very need for community information. Please introduce yourself, my brother. How are you?
I'm well. How you doing, man?
Great. From the little bit that you saw here going on in the studio, what did you think?
I mean, it was dope. Dope setup. Biggest thing I enjoyed was, a young brother sitting next to me, doing the work of broadcasting. I think that it was good to see.
That is Walter Pierce.
Yeah, Walter.
Under my tutelage, he will become one of the greatest. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so why are you here today, my brother?
So I was.
Well,
here.
wait a minute. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me do this correctly.
Okay.
Deontay Savage, what brought you? What was your journey to My Brother's Keeper?
Simply, it was literally I guess it was like the journey that God put me on. Like right out of college, I graduated in May, from Morehouse, and I graduated turning down kind of offers, job offers. I turned down kind of the corporate life, and I told myself that I wanted to come back to Newark, to deal with the nonprofit space. A couple weeks into graduating, I didn't have a job, didn't even know where I would be, and I happened to get a call from a great friend, Marsha, and she directed me to Newark Alliance. Newark Alliance, I was there for a couple months. Still didn't know what I was going to do after that, but I happened to get an opportunity to speak at a press conference, and that press conference my boss now happened to see me on the press conference. That's why, never say no to opportunities, because you never know who will be watching you. Because I believe that because I was at that press conference at that time, and my boss happened to be watching at that time, he was able to see me, and he reached out and he said, I want to get in touch with that brother. I want to, help him and mold him. And he brought me on to MBK. So that was a journey. Now,
you say MBK, but please tell us what that acronym represents.
So MBK stands for My Brother's Keeper. So My Brother's Keeper was an initiative that started with President Obama in 2015 in response to the death of Trayvon Martin. He wanted to figure out a way to close the opportunity gaps for boys and young men of color. He also charged cities and states around the nation to take up MBKs, around the country, and our Mayor Baraka, decided to take MBK to Newark as a collaborative action initiative. So all the work that we do is in collaboration with existing organizations and existing plans for the city. So.
Okay. Do you know about any of these plans?
For the city?
Yeah. Well, what are the initiatives that you are directly involved with?
So MBK is directly involved with New Jersey Institute of Social Justice, and a lot of their work is around social justice. So a lot of MBK's work, happens to be around social justice. We work with NJISJ with juvenile justice reform, so closing down juvenile prisons. Also, we're looking into policies to look into kind of the school to prison pipeline, figuring out different ways in which we can discipline kids, and looking at the ways schools discipline, and trying to find out ways in which we can direct boys and young men to promise and to success instead of to the prison. So we do a lot of work around social justice. And of course, that goes hand in hand with mentorship. So finding ways in which we can mentor young boys and young men, find ways to bring positive male role models into their lives, and then, of course, to help them find jobs. So
okay,
it's all intertwined.
Okay. Now, the thing that brought us both together is the podcast. Tell us about that.
So MBK decided to start a podcast, and this is going to kind of go in our work with youth organizing, as well as trying to organize young people to exercise their voices, to talk about issues that affect them on a day-to-day basis. A lot of these issues affect boys and young men of color, but there's not a lot of platforms for them to talk about these things freely. So we wanted to create a podcast where young boys and young men can kind of talk about issues like marijuana reform, talk about how they feel about it. There's a lot of people incarcerated for marijuana, and all around, the United States, they are legalizing marijuana, but what does that mean for the people that have been jailed for all these years, and talking about what that means. We're going to be talking about juvenile justice reform. How does it feel? Like, how do they feel about youth prisons? How do they feel the world can change? How do they feel the world can work to do something about these issues that are happening? We'll be talking about immigration. So we'll be talking about big issues.
Okay.
And
I got your point. Yeah. To stop feeding the industrial prison complex.
Yeah.
All right. So how does one reach out to contact you, to get involved, to be part of My Brother's Keeper?
So you can contact me 973-536-8135.
That number again? Slowly.
973-536-8135.
All right.
Yeah.
Your name again?
Deontay Savage.
And that is Deontay Savage for Behind the Mic. Mike. Quest Youth Radio, the best youth radio.